Kiam Patterson just looked dead into a rolling camera on Club Shay Shay and told the entire planet he loves Megan Thee Stallion. And Kiam Patterson did it while Megan Thee Stallion is grieving. Kiam Patterson did it while the breakup is still hot on the timeline. Kiam Patterson did it with a laugh in his throat and a straight face in his eyes. And Kiam Patterson followed it up with one sentence that flipped the whole clip into a viral grenade. Kiam Patterson said, quote, "The shot had to be shot," unquote. Sit with that. The shot had to be shot. Not a joke. Not a hypothetical. A stone-cold, publicly recorded, on-brand hosted, professionally lit declaration from Kiam Patterson to Megan Thee Stallion. And the internet has not slept since. Let me back this up. Let me walk everybody through the exact scene. Because if you only saw the clipped 10 seconds bouncing around your For You page, you missed the part that turns this from a funny little bar into something the whole culture is about to argue about for the next 2 weeks. Kiam Patterson sat down on Club Shay Shay. The vibe was loose. The vibe was talkative. The vibe was safe. And out of nowhere, without a producer setup, without a segment title, without a lead-in, Kiam Patterson pivoted the entire episode. Kiam Patterson said, "I am shooting my shot right now." Kiam Patterson said, "Look dead in the camera." Kiam Patterson said, "Megan Thee Stallion, I love you." And then Kiam Patterson doubled it up. Kiam Patterson said, "Understand that. I love you. Now stop. Rewind that in your head. Because that phrase, 'look dead in the camera,' that is not something you say by accident." Kiam Patterson knew the camera was on. Kiam Patterson knew the microphone was hot. Kiam Patterson knew that every clip account, every gossip page, every blog, every group chat was going to lift that 10 seconds and run it around the world before the episode even finished uploading. Kiam Patterson did it anyway. Kiam Patterson did it on purpose. And that is the part nobody is talking about correctly. Everybody keeps calling this a joke. Everybody keeps calling this cap. Everybody keeps saying Kiam Patterson was playing. But watch the tape again. Kiam Patterson never once said, "I am joking." Kiam Patterson said the opposite. Kiam Patterson said, "I promise you I love you." Promise. A promise is not a punchline. A promise is a commitment sealed on camera, on a podcast, in front of an OG, with a laugh track under it for cover. That is the oldest move in the book. That is how you drop a bomb and pretend it was fireworks. And here is the part that made the room lose it. When the OG pushed back, when the OG said, "Wait, Megan Thee Stallion is grieving," Kiam Patterson did not blink. Kiam Patterson said, "Yeah, she will be all right. We will figure it out. I will get you flowers. Would you like flowers?" That is not a joke either. That is a pitch. That is a public bid. That is Kiam Patterson positioning as the rebound before Megan Thee Stallion has even confirmed the door is closed. And then Kiam Patterson closed the loop with the line that cracked the internet open. Kiam Patterson said, "So she can cry on your shoulder." Huh? 100%. I do not have all the money he got, but I promise you I love you. Read that one more time. I do not have all the money he got. That is Kiam Patterson admitting on the record that Kiam Patterson knows Megan Thee Stallion just came out of a relationship with a man with heavy pockets. Kiam Patterson knows the comparison is going to be made. Kiam Patterson knows the shot Kiam Patterson is taking is aimed at somebody else who is still very much a headline. And Kiam Patterson dared everybody to bring the comparison. That is not a shy man. That is not a nervous man. That is a man who did the math before the cameras rolled. And here is the layer nobody on the timeline has connected yet. Because Kiam Patterson did not stop at Megan Thee Stallion. Later in the same episode, Kiam Patterson listed a top 3 celebrity crush lineup. Kiam Patterson named Ice Spice. Kiam Patterson named Olivia Dean. And Kiam Patterson said the word pressure like Kiam Patterson was ordering off a menu. Which means Kiam Patterson walked into that studio with a plan. Kiam Patterson walked in with names ready. Kiam Patterson walked in knowing that the Megan Thee Stallion moment was the headline, and every other name would trend as the aftershock. That is not chaos. That is choreography. That is a man running a viral playbook while the world watches and thinks it is just a funny podcast bit. Now let me tell you what everybody is missing. Everybody is chopping this up like it is a meme. Everybody is stitching it. Everybody is quote tweeting it. Everybody is laughing. But nobody, and I mean nobody, is asking the real question. Why did Kiam Patterson feel confident enough to shoot this shot right now? What does Kiam Patterson know that the rest of us do not? Because a man does not walk on a top-tier podcast and publicly claim a woman who is grieving unless a man has already tested the temperature somewhere else. That confidence did not come from nowhere. That confidence came from a signal. Somewhere. Somehow. On some app. On some DM. On some mutual friend chain. Something told Kiam Patterson the door was cracked open just enough to kick it. That is the story nobody is telling. And that is the story that is going to keep this clip alive long after your For You page has moved on. Watch how Kiam Patterson framed the timing. Kiam Patterson said, "They broke up." Kiam Patterson said, "It was over." Kiam Patterson said, "That is why I shot the shot." Kiam Patterson said, "I ain't hear nothing bad, but I am still shooting." That sequence is important. That sequence is Kiam Patterson explaining, on camera, that Kiam Patterson has been tracking the situation. Kiam Patterson has been watching the timeline. Kiam Patterson has been waiting for the exact opening. That is not a random blurt. That is a stopwatch. That is a man who has been holding this line in his mouth for weeks, waiting for the mic to get hot enough to release it. And the internet, the internet caught it. Within hours of the episode dropping, the clip was everywhere. TikTok stitched it. Instagram reposted it. Twitter, X, whatever we are calling it this week, had Kiam Patterson trending next to Megan Thee Stallion. The comment sections split into 3 camps immediately. Camp 1 said Kiam Patterson was disrespectful. Camp 1 said grief is not a green light. Camp 1 said Megan Thee Stallion has been through enough. Camp 2 said Kiam Patterson was smart. Camp 2 said this is exactly how young men shoot their shot in 2026. Camp 2 said, if you do not ask, the answer is always no. Camp 3, the biggest camp, the loudest camp, sat back and laughed and said this is going to end one of 2 ways, and both of them are content. Because that is the truth. Both endings are content. If Megan Thee Stallion responds, it is content. If Megan Thee Stallion ignores it, it is content. If Megan Thee Stallion posts a story with a smiley face, it is content. If Megan Thee Stallion posts a story with a knife emoji, it is content. If Megan Thee Stallion says nothing for 3 days and then likes a random Kiam Patterson picture, it is content. Kiam Patterson has already won the algorithm. Kiam Patterson has already won the day. Kiam Patterson has already won the week. The only thing left is whether Kiam Patterson wins the woman. And that, right there, is the loop that is going to make people rewatch this clip 100 times. Let me pull the camera back even wider, because there is a piece of this puzzle sitting in plain sight that nobody has picked up. When the conversation shifted, when the OG changed the subject to relationships in general, Kiam Patterson dropped another line that reframes the entire declaration. Kiam Patterson said, offline. Kiam Patterson said, easier to maintain it. Kiam Patterson said, people ain't in your ear. Kiam Patterson said, it is a lot to put a relationship online, especially now. Read that in the context of what Kiam Patterson just did. Kiam Patterson just put a potential relationship online, in front of millions, on the biggest sports and culture podcast in the country, and then 2 segments later said online relationships are a mistake, which means one of 2 things. 1, Kiam Patterson is telling on Kiam Patterson, or 2, Kiam Patterson is telling Megan Thee Stallion, come get me, but bring it offline. That second read is the read that changes everything. Because if that is the message, then this entire clip was a coded invitation dressed up as a joke. A public shot with a private landing zone. And that is a level of relationship chess most people are not ready to acknowledge a young rapper is capable of playing. Now, here is where it gets even messier. Because Kiam Patterson did not stop at the shot. Kiam Patterson kept talking. And in the same conversation, Kiam Patterson admitted things that are going to age like open milk if any of this ever moves past the joke stage. Kiam Patterson said, if she was cool with it, I would sleep with another woman while my woman watched. Kiam Patterson said, I am looking for somebody like that. Kiam Patterson said, if she like it for sure, we in business. So the same man who just declared love to Megan Thee Stallion on camera out loud in front of the whole culture also announced a very specific list of expectations that come attached. And Megan Thee Stallion, if Megan Thee Stallion is even paying attention, is now sitting on a scoreboard where the love confession and the disclaimer arrived in the same episode. That is not a rebound. That is a resume. And still the OG kept pushing. The OG asked about Kiam Patterson dating an IG Live incident that has apparently gone viral before. Kiam Patterson laughed. Kiam Patterson said, that was an accident. Kiam Patterson tried to play it off, but the OG said, that is stuck there forever. That is on Michelle. That is on the internet for life. And that line right there, is the sentence that connects everything. Because that is the exact reason Kiam Patterson had to shoot this shot in public. When your name is already attached to a viral live moment that nobody can scrub, the smartest move is to reset the narrative with a bigger viral moment. Kiam Patterson did not shoot this shot because Kiam Patterson could not shoot it in private. Kiam Patterson shot it in public, because public is the fastest way to rewrite the search results. That is media strategy. That is reputation math. That is a young artist doing PR with a punchline. Let me connect one more dot. And this one is the dot that made me have to sit down. Because Kiam Patterson also talked about older brother advice. Kiam Patterson said, "My older brother told me no dating outside my race." Kiam Patterson said, "I listened." Kiam Patterson said, "I love all people though." And then Kiam Patterson pivoted right back to the game. Kiam Patterson said, "If they press, I will find them." Kiam Patterson said, "I let them meet me at the club." Kiam Patterson said, "I like the ones who do not recognize me." Kiam Patterson said, "My alias is Carter Perkins. I am a truck driver." That is a full profile. That is a full playbook. That is a young man who has already drawn up the diagram of how the interaction is supposed to go. And then Kiam Patterson pointed that entire diagram directly at Megan Thee Stallion. On camera, on purpose, on record. Now here is the part where the culture has to make a decision, because Megan Thee Stallion is not some new artist trying to break through. Megan Thee Stallion is a Grammy-winning, arena-headlining, Houston Forever, hot girl coach queen. Megan Thee Stallion has already survived betrayal. Megan Thee Stallion has already survived courtrooms. Megan Thee Stallion has already survived the internet at its ugliest. So, when a younger artist walks on a podcast and declares love publicly, there are only two responses that make sense. Either Megan Thee Stallion laughs it off with grace and lets Kiam Patterson float on the moment, or Megan Thee Stallion cuts it clean and shuts the door with a single well-timed sentence. There is no middle option, and the entire timeline is going to be refreshing Megan Thee Stallion's page for the next 7 days, trying to catch which door swings. But here is my honest read, and this is where I am putting my flag in the ground. I do not think Megan Thee Stallion is going to respond directly. I think Megan Thee Stallion is going to do the smartest thing a public figure can do when a viral shot lands on the front porch. I think Megan Thee Stallion is going to say absolutely nothing. And in that silence, Kiam Patterson wins even more, because silence from Megan Thee Stallion means the joke gets to keep breathing. Silence means the meme lives another week. Silence means every Kiam Patterson interview from now until the end of the year opens with a host asking, "So what is up with you and Megan Thee Stallion?" And every one of those interviews is a check. Every one of those interviews is a stream. Every one of those interviews is a booking. That is the shot Kiam Patterson actually took. Not a shot at Megan Thee Stallion. A shot at the calendar. A shot at the news cycle. A shot at every headline slot for the rest of the quarter. Which brings me to the biggest question of all, because I want you to zoom out with me. This is not just a funny podcast clip. This is a case study. This is a masterclass in how young artists in 2026 are using public confession as marketing. Kiam Patterson did not release a single. Kiam Patterson did not drop a video. Kiam Patterson did not announce a tour. And yet Kiam Patterson has been the #1 name in every group chat since the clip dropped. That is what shooting the shot really means in this era. It means using a woman's name, a queen's name, a Grammy winner's name as a launch pad. And that is where the culture has to have a real conversation. Because it is one thing when the shot is cute. It is another thing when the shot uses somebody's grief as the trampoline. I keep coming back to that word. Grief. Megan Thee Stallion is grieving. That is what the OG said on the pod. That is what the room acknowledged. And Kiam Patterson said, "Yeah, she will be all right. We will figure it out." That sentence is going to follow Kiam Patterson around for a long time, because Kiam Patterson can shoot every shot Kiam Patterson wants. That is a young man's right. But timing is a language. And the timing on this one is loud. Whether Kiam Patterson meant it as love, as a joke, as a bit, as a marketing move, or as some combination of all four, The timing landed on top of a moment where Megan Thee Stallion is processing something private, and the whole internet just decided to laugh through the middle of it. So where does this go from here? Let me give you my 3 predictions. Prediction number 1. Within 72 hours, a Megan Thee Stallion adjacent account, not Megan Thee Stallion, but somebody in the circle, is going to like a subtle post that reads like a response. Not a confirmation, not a denial, a signal. Prediction number 2. Within 1 week, Kiam Patterson is going to be a guest on a second major podcast. And the very first question is going to be about Megan Thee Stallion. And Kiam Patterson is going to double down, not walk it back. Double down. Because doubling down is the only move that keeps the shot alive. Prediction number 3. Within 30 days, a new Kiam Patterson song is going to drop, and there is going to be one single bar, aimed at this exact moment, and that bar is going to trend harder than the original clip. Screenshot this prediction. Come back to me in a month. We will see how close I got. Let me walk you through the room temperature one more time, because context is everything in a moment like this. Club Shay Shay is not a small platform. Club Shay Shay is where careers reset. Club Shay Shay is where legacies get audited. Club Shay Shay is where a single sentence can become a headline before the guest even gets home. Kiam Patterson knew that. Every artist who walks into that studio knows that. So, when Kiam Patterson picked that room, out of every room in America, to launch a love confession at Megan Thee Stallion, Kiam Patterson picked a stage engineered for maximum echo. That is not luck. That is location scouting. And I want you to notice something else. Because when the OG in the room said, "May the Lord have mercy," that reaction did more work than a million retweets. That reaction is the sound of an older head watching a younger head jump off a cliff on purpose and marveling at the confidence. Kiam Patterson heard that reaction and did not flinch. Kiam Patterson kept building. Kiam Patterson stayed inside the bit. And staying inside the bit, even after the room told Kiam Patterson to pump the brakes, is the exact behavior that separates a viral moment from a canceled moment. Kiam Patterson stayed committed. Commitment on camera in 2026 is the loudest currency a young artist owns right now, hands down. Because this is the part everybody keeps forgetting. Viral moments in 2026 do not live and die in a day. They ferment. They compound. They pay rent for months. And Kiam Patterson just signed a lease on Megan Thee Stallion's name for the entire summer. Whether Megan Thee Stallion agreed to it or not. Whether Megan Thee Stallion knew about it or not. Whether Megan Thee Stallion likes it or not. Kiam Patterson made a public claim on the news cycle, and the news cycle accepted the deposit before Megan Thee Stallion could even read the lease. And that is why the shot had to be shot. Not because Kiam Patterson thought Megan Thee Stallion was going to fall in love from a Club Shay Shay clip. Kiam Patterson is not naive. Kiam Patterson knew the odds. But Kiam Patterson also knew that even a 1% chance at Megan Thee Stallion is a 100% chance at the algorithm. And a 100% chance at the algorithm is worth every awkward laugh, every OG headshake, every timeline joke, every angry Annie tweet, every side eye from a group chat. Kiam Patterson traded a little dignity for a lot of attention. And in this economy, that trade is a bargain. So the next time you see somebody clip this moment, the next time you see somebody duet the audio, the next time you see the words the shot had to be shot fly across your screen, I want you to remember what you are actually watching. You are not watching a crush. You are not watching a joke. You are watching a young artist run the newest, sharpest, most ruthless play in modern celebrity marketing. And whether Megan Thee Stallion ever responds or not, Kiam Patterson already collected. The receipts are in the streams. The receipts are in the followers. The receipts are in every single one of you watching this video right now, because I promise you, none of us would be here if the shot had not been shot. Which is why I need you to tell me in the comments, Do you think Kiam Patterson was serious? Do you think Megan Thee Stallion is going to say a single word back? Do you think this ends in a diss, a duet, a date, or dead silence? And more importantly, is this the smartest career move you have seen a young artist make in the last 12 months? Or is this the kind of shot that looks brilliant today and stupid in 6 months? I am going to be live later on with more angles I did not even fit into this video. Follow me now so you catch it. Comment your prediction below. And keep your eyes on Megan Thee Stallion's next post, because whatever Megan Thee Stallion does next is going to write the ending to this story. And the ending is going to be the loudest part of it. And that is exactly why peace